Hello Neighbor has had quite the history throughout the past decade, from the promising pre-game alphas to the glitchy mess of its release, a failed sequel in 2022, and now a comeback in 2025. Good morning Internet, my name is Jay, and today I have a pretty spontaneous subject that was not at all what I thought I'd be covering this week. You know it, your mom knows it, heck, this game was so popular at one point, I wouldn't be shocked if you could at least remember this dude's face from just the mere mention of Mr. Peterson or The Neighbor. The point of all this is that I didn't even think I would get the chance to talk about this franchise on my channel until I played Hello Neighbor 2 or something. I've made my peace with how messy it all got, and there's not really any hope of it being fixed unless the original developer learned from his mistakes and... This is beautiful. So, TinyBuild announced exactly a year before I'm writing this that Hello Neighbor would be getting a new installment, Hello Neighbor 3. Ravenbrooks Online was fortunately ditched as a name and/or concept. Due to the history I mentioned before with the game and my own personal disinterest after 2019, I only ever saw the character concept art for this new entry. Skip over to November of 2025, and I stumbled across this video that came out today titled Hello Neighbor 3 Devlog 3. Curious, I clicked on it to see what direction it was taking development-wise, and was greeted with an unironically cinematic documentation. Seriously, before I even talk about the actual game, this video has such a uniquely beautiful atmosphere. In this third developer diary, as they call it, Nikita Kolesnikov, the original creator of Hello Neighbor, starts off with a brief story about the butterfly effect and how it served as a big inspiration for this new project of his. A video game where the world works in real time and characters can have interactions or routines without the player even knowing. If the player decides to take action, their choices will actually have a meaningful impact on the game world and story. The part of this video that blew my mind the most, though, was when Nikita showed off an example of the character's problem-solving skills. This character named Iris is friends with Jacob, so seeing that Jacob is missing on this poster will prompt her to look for him, starting with his house. She finds a note that was dropped with the location of Jacob on it, which allows her to find Jacob unconscious, place him on his bed, and ultimately save him. It looks simple on the surface, yes, but when you imagine an entire town of NPCs that behave like that example in real time, the premise becomes even more exciting. There's also a whole time loop thing happening in this video where Nikita repeatedly tries to bring this cake to a festival, showcasing how the player can go through the same set of events numerous different ways as they learn the character routines. Eventually, things end off with him talking about cartoons he watched as a kid and how he used to try drawing them. A really sincere message about how that creative seed planted in his youth brought him to start the project in the first place. Speaking of which, although I'm really excited about the gameplay, my biggest shock from all this was how beautiful this game looks. The first Hello Neighbor is very cartoonish and not at all the stylized realism fans, and I myself, loved from its early alphas. However, in Hello Neighbor 3, the direction they're going for atmosphere and looks is nothing short of breathtaking. Ravenbrooks is worn down to a ghostly husk after years of abandonment, yet there are still a few residents making the most of living there. These residents also have stellar designs I'll get to in just a second. Anywho, shortly after watching this video, I requested a prototype for the game on Steam under the condition that I'd review it. Yep, it's the chapter you clicked on this video for, folks. I'm gonna review the actual prototype for Hello Neighbor 3 now. The game prototype opens up with our unnamed protagonist taking a bus to Ravenbrooks. Upon arriving at the bus stop, the player is given a hint through this advertisement on the back of the bus that reads, "Every choice is the right one." This may sound like a justification for heinous crimes, but it actually hints at the whole premise of this game that I talked about before. For the prototype, your main task is building this crow statue thing, and there are 3 separate endings depending on where you build it, or if you get swept up by the ominous storm. Oh yeah, there's also a storm here that adds weather effects. Most of the time spent in this prototype will just be wandering around, gathering items, and getting to know the whole neighborhood without much sense of direction. While I would criticize the lack of any instructions beyond some vague hints near the statue base, this version of Ravenbrooks is just so fun to explore. Like I said, I haven't played Hello Neighbor 2 yet, but I've heard the game also spins you around blindfolded when it comes to clues. Really, my only gripe with this prototype so far is just how poorly optimized it is. I completely get that this is the whole point, to have everything here at once in real time, but this just fries my PC and the frame rate drops along with it. Before you say anything, no, it's not my PC, this thing can run games like Cyberpunk 2077 perfectly fine. Back to gameplay, I really like what they did for the characters here. Isaac and Historian are weaker, so you'll have to save them from these Vandal guys if you want the good ending, and the extra task mixed with the real-time storm approaching adds a whole other level of atmospheric stress to things. The storm itself is also a really interesting element in my opinion. It shows off how the world can change with time and weather, as well as just giving the whole prototype a good time limit. Exploration-centered games just work so much better with time shifting to make things feel less stagnant. Jacob, Iris, and Janusz aren't too active due to this being a prototype, but I do love their designs nonetheless. Especially Iris and Jacob, I want to know all their backstory and lore so badly. Moving away from the friendly characters, I didn't see much of the Vandals on my playthrough, or anyone else's, so I'm about 99% sure only Signed and the guest are here. Signed is a very minor inconvenience, if not barely present at all, but the same cannot be said for this dude. If you know Hello Neighbor well enough, you'll know that this creature the developers call the guest had aura before TinyBuild completely botched the character. For this prototype, it serves as a main antagonist enemy that kidnaps other characters and you, the player, if you're not careful in dark areas. I really enjoy having an actual creepy threat here instead of just kind or mean NPCs. It reminds you that even in the warm emptiness of this ghost town, there's still that overarching danger we've gotten used to in these games. This is all a prototype, so the game might pull a 180 on us, but I like where it's going right now at least. Besides poor optimization and some glitches, there is potential here if TinyBuild can figure out how to add more characters in general. Maybe like 17 max. I don't think this abandoned town needs double its original population. Anyways, with all this talk about the characters, I also think it would only be right to bring up this game's art style. In the devlog video I mentioned before, Nikita talks about he was inspired by those Saturday morning cartoons he watched as a kid like Hey Arnold and Life with Louie. Looking at the unique art styles of these shows, you can definitely see the essence poured into Hello Neighbor 3 in the best way possible. The environment is realistic, grimy, and rustic, while the characters contrast that perfectly with elements like their oddly colored skin or hair. Seriously, I could go on for days about how I just love this game's aesthetic. The prototype has 3 separate endings, as I already said before. Ending 1 is the normal ending of everyone gathering to see the complete statue before somebody knocks it all down. That somebody being Theodore Peters. I am digging this new design for the neighbor. It's like they went all the way back to his concept art and leveled it up into a Coraline character. No more weird mascot horror iconicness to appeal to the masses. This is artistic creativity at its finest. Ending number 2 is the one where you side with the Vandals and build a statue here, sending this poor kid straight to the guest via roller coaster for God knows what. Not really any complaints to talk about here, but looking at the character models, Isaac could use maybe just a bit more shading. He kinda looks out of place with this thing creeping around. Even if I couldn't actually get one of these endings myself, I did enjoy my time with the prototype. Some more optimization plus direction from this man only, and Hello Neighbor 3 could redeem this whole franchise. Hello Neighbor has always been a guilty pleasure of mine, despite how bad the original game has aged, and seeing that the creator isn't giving up on the series really excites me to no end. Wherever you are, Nikita, I only hope you get the support you deserve on this project. I'm hyped for Hello Neighbor 3 now, and I hope this video showed you why there's real creativity here. This project has a bright future, and only time will tell if it actually follows that path, but I know I'll definitely be rooting for it. Thank you so much for fully watching this short little yap session of mine, and if Hello Neighbor 3 ever gets a full release or another groundbreaking prototype, I'll be reviewing it 100%. Massive credits to the creators of this project, don't forget to support them, and I'll see you in the next one.
Cowabunga, dude!